Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim and this is Expedition 3 Pages. So today I'm doing the Pirates and Books tag that I created with Hannah from Hannah's blog for our book club, the X Book Club. In the month of September/October, for me, we read Why We Love Pirates by Rebecca Simon, and this was our pick for the expert book part of our book club, because in the X Book Club we read one book from an expert and then we read one book from someone who has experience in the field. We've gone a bit rogue with our experience book for this round of the X Book Club, because we don't have a book written by pirates, but we do have a book written by pirate hunters, people who are looking for a legendary pirate ship. And this book we are supposed to be reading this month, although I can tell I'm probably going to finish it in December, right before the live show. But yeah, so if you wanted to join us, we will have our live show in December where we'll be discussing both of these guys. But for today's video, we've created a tag and we've based the questions of the tag off of things we learned in this book. I'm pretty sure everything that we've said is accurate based on this book, but I apologise if we've got something twisted, because I know sometimes you can read books and interpret things in a way that you're not supposed to interpret them, but hopefully we haven't done that and everything is right. But yeah, so question number 1 is, Captain Kidd was the first pirate to be very publicly hunted down and captured. Once he was captured, there were rumours that he had a ship full of treasure, and this kick-started the myth that pirates have buried treasure. Name a book or collection of books that you prize very highly and would bury as treasure over risk of them being taken. And so for me, those have to be the Realm of the Elderling books that I have. I've got the first trilogy in hardback, and at first I thought, well, obviously it's the hardback books that I would treasure, but I just love those the versions of the paperback books that I have so much. I'll put a little insert here so you can see the books. I mean, I hold them up all the time, but I just think they're absolutely stunning. I love them. I put them in a box before I buried them because, you know, don't want to ruin them. But yeah, they're my most prized possessions, I think, book-wise. And I wouldn't want anyone to steal them from me. So that's my answer for that one. Okay, next up. The general public were fascinated with the criminal lives of pirates and eagerly bought and read pamphlets describing their crimes. Name a true crime book or a book that contains a fascinating bad character. And so for this one, I could have picked a bad character, but I kind of wanted to go down the true crime book because I felt that was more relevant to the pirates, because people loved reading about these pirates and the actual things that they did. But I don't really read much true crime. I have watched stuff and I've listened to the podcasts of true crime, a couple of podcasts on true crime, but generally I just get so enraged that I feel like, am I having fun with true crime or am I just enraged? I don't know. But yeah, the one book that I think fits this prompt kind of is Educated by Tara Westover. I read this a long time ago. I think I listened to it actually on audio, but this book I think fits this prompt because I was fascinated with the story. So this is Tara Westover telling her own personal story of how she was brought up in a very controlling Mormon household. So it wasn't because they were Mormon that they were controlling, but they were controlling and they were Mormon. And the stories that she tells in this book of her childhood and growing up, she wasn't allowed to go to school or anything like that, so she was kind of denied an education and she had to fight to teach herself and ended up going to college and university and becoming very successful in that realm. But the reason I think it fits with true crime is because she has described events during her childhood where there was definite physical abuse that happened to her, and choices made by her father in particular, from what I can remember, that would put his children in danger when they were working on the farm and stuff like that. I don't want to say too much because I've forgotten a lot of it now, but it was definitely one of those books where it felt very voyeuristic. Like I just wanted to keep reading, even though it was such a personal book and you're reading about real life people, and it felt kind of wrong in a way to read it, but it was so intriguing. It was so intriguing. Oh yeah, they never accepted any medical help either. So I think her mum had this big accident and then she wasn't allowed to go to the hospital and stuff like that. So yeah, just decisions that he made put his family in danger. Number 3. It probably comes as no surprise that the British took advantage of every opportunity to gain power in the Caribbean and the Americas. In peacetime, they condemned pirates, declaring them evil and against all mankind. They made death the penalty for piracy. But in wartime, they employed and encouraged people to become pirates and capture enemy ships. They just called them privateers instead of pirates. Name a book with an authority or government that takes advantage of their power. And so for this one, the first one that comes to mind is 1984. But I tried to think of some other... I must have read books where there's been people in charge that have taken advantage of their power. Well, there definitely has. The Lunar Chronicles, the royal family on Luna massively takes advantage of their control over people. And I guess the same thing for... I haven't actually read The Hunger Games, but I've seen the films. And the same thing with their government, where they completely take control of people's lives. I think in Ember in the Ashes as well, they also have a big power. So yeah, those are kind of books that I can think of off the top of my head. In a less serious vein, Little Dorrit that I'm reading at the moment, still, by Charles Dickens, they don't have a government power that's necessarily using it for severe evil, but there is a parody of the British government in that book, whereby if you go to them with a query or you want to get some paperwork for them, your query gets sent to someone, and then you get to send to someone else, and then you get to send to someone else, and then it goes round and round and round in circles, and nothing ever happens, and you don't actually get any of the help that you need. And so I guess that is a government body manipulating a situation so that they don't actually have to do anything. They just use big words and confuse and pass the buck on to someone else, so then nothing actually gets done. So yeah, that's quite funny to read about, although really frustrating to read about. Number 4, there were sometimes strong reactions from the general public against the execution of pirates. There is a recorded time that once in Jamaica, the crowd actually stormed the execution dock to save a pirate from his death sentence. Governor Lord Hamilton offered a reward and pardon for anyone with information about where he had gone, but still nobody betrayed the pirate. Name a character from a book that you would fiercely protect. I really like this question, because there is one character that I would definitely fiercely protect, and that is the Fool from The Realm of the Elderlings. I love that character so much, and I would protect him always. If he was real, I'd have his back. Okay, so number 5. During the time of the Golden Age of pirates, women were not allowed to join the navy, and it was very rare for a woman to openly join a pirate crew. To claim their positions on ships, some women were forced to disguise themselves as men. Name a character that has to go in disguise to achieve something. Now for this answer, there's a very obvious answer, and I'm not going to say it because it's to do with the Realm of the Elderlings. And I've already answered 2 questions with Robin Hobb books. So the second thing to come to my mind was the character from The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. So if you haven't read The Midnight Library before, it's about a woman who is able to access other lives that she could have had. That's the basic premise of it. I have to say, I'm going to caveat it here with, I did not like this book at all. I think I gave it 2 stars because I thought the premise was good, but I really didn't like the way it was executed at all. But anyway, that's beside the point. The main character in that book, I would argue, well, she does. She kind of has to go in disguise as herself. I thought that was kind of an interesting concept, to have to go in disguise as yourself. Question number 6 is, many of us love the idea of pirates, but the reality is that some pirates were extremely vicious, in some cases forcing the captains of ships to eat their own body parts. However, other pirates may have had better intentions, merely looking for a better life for themselves once their privateering careers had ended. Some pirates were even referred to as the Robin Hoods of the sea. Name a book featuring body horror, or name a book with a morally grey character. So I'm going to go with morally grey character, and I think there's a few morally grey characters definitely that I've read about. But I'm going to go with Silas from Sorcery of Thorns. I think you pronounce his name Silas. Definitely a morally grey character. Equally Thorn from the Lunar Chronicles. He's a morally grey character. Actually, yeah, he's probably my favourite morally grey character at the moment. In fact, I think most characters in the Lunar Chronicles are morally grey, because it's like, sometimes you can do bad stuff for good, and I guess that's morally grey. But equally, sometimes you can just make bad decisions for bad, but then you also have good parts about you. And I think those both types are in the Lunar Chronicles. So yeah, Silas as well, but most of the characters in the Lunar Chronicles probably fall under that. And then the last 2 questions don't have to be bookish questions if you don't want them to. Actually, one of them can't be a bookish question, but yeah. Okay, question number 7 is, pirates have become heavily featured in popular culture, featuring in books, movies, music, etc, etc. What is one of your favourite things featuring pirates? And for this, I've gone with a song, and this song is Weird Beard by Mad Caddies. So they're like a ska punk band, and when I was younger, absolutely loved them. I think I saw them live a couple of times when I was younger, and there's just so much fun. Like, their gigs are like a party. They're probably still around. I actually haven't looked them up for a while. I should listen to them again. But yeah, so they have this song called Weird Beard. I think there's some morally grey, questionable behaviour in that song as well, or just plain wrong talk in that song. But anyway, it's such a fun song. I really like it. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. And yeah, it's a pirate song and it's cool. And then question number 8 finally is, pirates travelled about all of the time. That's a really weirdly worded question. Pirates travelled around a lot. What countries would you most like to visit if you were a pirate? So for this one, I'm just going to go with my standard go-to answer, which is Canada, which I know most of it isn't by the sea, but I'd be happy to go to the West Coast or the East Coast. I don't mind. So it's not very adventurous, is it? Because I'm just going back to a place that I've already been. I suppose I would like to go around the Caribbean islands as well. But yeah, really and truly, my real answer is Canada. I always want to go back to Canada. I miss Canada. If anyone works for the Canadian government and they want to give me a visa, I'll take it. But yeah, that's the end of the tag video. This book, I've enjoyed it. Definitely has really good points, but it also has some points that I didn't enjoy. More about the writing. Don't want to say style, because I enjoyed the writing style, but like the setup of the book, I would have liked a few things to have changed. But if you wanted to hear more about my thoughts on this and also Hannah's thoughts and hear more about pirates, then I think the live show might be on my channel this time round. But anyway, I'll make an announcement on our Instagram or Twitter closer to the time to let everybody know. I'm not actually going to tag anyone for this video, so if you want to do it, then please do, and please tag us on Instagram or Twitter and let us know, because we'd absolutely love to watch it. Cool, so that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that everyone is doing well, and I will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.